Hello, I'm Chris.
And I'm Tom.
And you're watching That Review Show, and we've been at the movies where we went to see...
The Magnificent Seven, 2016.
Man carries a gun, he tends to use it.
Dan, you dead? Pity. I had just ordered a drink from that man.
Took a job looking for some men to join me.
Is it difficult?
Impossible.
So Tom, what is Magnificent Seven about?
It's about a town who are under threat by outside forces in this third iteration of the story, I should say. It is a land baron, a robber baron, who is there to buy up all the land for low prices and kick them out of their homes. So they enlist the help of a fighter who also enlists the help of other fighters to help them defend the town from him.
Yes. What did you think?
I liked Seven Samurai.
I think this film was okay. There were a few things I really liked, there are a few characters I really liked, there are a few things that really annoyed me, and there are a few characters that really annoyed me.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we had quite a few recognised actors in this film. We had
Denzel.
Yeah. We had a cast reflecting diversity, which is significant because the previous iterations of this didn't bother with that.
Well, you had Chico as Mexican, although he's played by a German.
Yeah, that's odd. However, the film didn't feel very inclusive.
Oh, we're good. We got a Mexican.
And as a result, that kind of harms the characters a little. I like them.
Yeah, I think Chris Pratt was irritating in Chris Pratt. Denzel was... I've never been a particular fan of Denzel, and he was fairly flat.
I think Denzel Washington isn't a very good actor. I didn't dislike him in this as much as I thought I would. But flat.
I missed the last
Dull.
10 minutes or so of the final sort of action set piece because I was trying for the life of me to remember who the seventh of the Magnificent Seven was, and it wasn't until the Mexican fella walked back on screen again that I went, oh, it was the Mexican that no one cares about.
Yeah, I mean, Denzel Washington is the central character of the samurai or the fighters.
That annoyed... Yeah, so we don't want to talk too much about older versions of this film,
No.
but Seven Samurai, the samurai have kind of a leader who basically is the one who's recruited them, so he's kind of taken on that role.
A believable character who could lead, though.
Magnificent Seven, you've got, again, a leader character who's taken on that role. This one, it wasn't enough that the villagers were under threat from baddies like in the previous two. This one you had to have a villain played by Peter Skarsgaard, and Denzel, his family had been murdered by the villain, so it became like a revenge, which to me sort of dilutes the whole idea of them protecting the villagers to protect the villagers. It was more like
In previous
Denzel's...
versions, it's honour and valour and, you know, the side of right that they're doing. In this one it's a hate crime.
Yeah, Denzel wants revenge, and so he basically gets about 25 villagers killed so that he can have his annoying boss fight at the end of the movie, which is another thing I liked. Seven Samurai, there wasn't really a villain.
It was the force of the bandits.
Yeah, Magnificent Seven in the 60s, there was a leader to the bandits, but he wasn't really fleshed out particularly.
A little, but not. It wasn't like we had to hate him as a Darth Vader. In fact, he wasn't a Darth Vader, which this character is.
Yeah.
You see him killing people, and, you know, like oh, he's bad.
And in fact, even Eli Wallach's character in the old Magnificent Seven was doing it out of desperation because him and his men had run out of food.
Yes.
Whereas in this one, it's just he's an evil man who wants lots of money.
And I did feel, that's a very 2016-y thing to do.
Capitalism, democracy.
Oh yeah, they started mentioning all these concepts. I mean, the previous ones, again, don't want to talk about them too much, but they had like a message that was semi-political, particularly the first one. But this, it, like, goes into that first. Then we have like this really like bad guy archetype, and then you have, of course, the like female interest as a character who's also has no consequence. It was interesting that, you know, we need to represent women in films more, etc., etc., etc. The previous ones didn't do any of that. This one sort of does, and then doesn't.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh.
but she was all you can really say in its praise in terms of that was the female character in this film was better handled than a female character from a 1954 or 1960 movie. So like you really
I think
kind of
worse
would hope.
handled. I think worse handled because her role was more unclear.
No.
The female characters in that, okay, they are just romance plot characters, but at least that function is clear and consistent and works.
I think you can give this one credit for trying to give her a more important role than just being the romance. Not saying they did it well.
It fails a little bit at its inclusion attempt.
So generally, I liked the setup to the action. I liked most of the action. There were a few really daft bits. The only other bit that I really want to talk about is the really weird and intrusive sound.
The voiceovers all the time.
Lots of voices that were added after it was filmed.
Yeah, not spoken by actors on screen at all.
And really weird. Like, when did we first notice it?
Well, I first noticed it
it was the gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first thing, they're bringing gold from the mine, and there's actors getting gold off, and they're not speaking, they're just carrying this thing, but you can hear someone going, "There's more gold on that wagon."
This box is heavy, it must have loads of gold in it. Something
And it's
like that.
it's not them talking, and then you've got also, "Get that wagon back to the mine," as you see, that you get the shot panning up with the wagon going off. Right.
And then,
I know what it's doing. It's really obvious because the actors are showing me.
And then when they're training the villagers, there's a bit where Ethan Hawke's character, who's probably my favourite character actually, he was the only one with a real arc, and
yes.
I think Chris Pratt was meant to be funny, but Ethan Hawke was funnier than Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt was just horrible.
But there's a bit where they're training all the soldiers, and Ethan Hawke does the cool sharpshooting and shoots the head off the thing, and all the villagers are going, "Oh," and then you hear someone really clearly go like, "Oh, no wonder they call him Angel of Death."
Oh yes, yeah.
And then when he walks off,
good night. Yeah.
and Chris Pratt's like, "All right, you lot are rubbish. Go home and come back tomorrow." They're all going, "All right," and then you hear one voice go, "Oh, we're not shooting anymore."
Yeah, and it's clearly not an actor saying it. It's not
It's like,
part
no,
of the script.
you're not shooting anymore. Go home.
It's like they finished the film and the editor was like, things are kind of unclear, so they wrote more script and just had like some generic Western voices.
They also had weird bits when Denzel mentions, and sort of soft spoilers, but not really. He mentions his sisters, and you get like, ah.
Yeah. As soon as he mentions it, you got like weird screams. In fact, you were laughing during the final confrontation because he mentions this, and then suddenly you just get, and it was louder. It wasn't like that weird, like echoey, soft in the background, sort of just thematic screaming. It's actually just like, ah, like what? Yeah, peculiar sound editing.
Anyway, so what this all boils down to, Mr. Ripper, is Magnificent Seven worth the ticket price in a 2016 setting to an audience who haven't seen either of the Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven?
No. You have to have gone, watch Seven Samurai, watch Magnificent Seven, watch Magnificent Seven 2016. Then it's interesting because you're kind of able to compare, which we will do in a coming video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't watch this.
No, I don't know. I think it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen recently.
It's not terrible.
I enjoyed it more than a lot of other things I've watched recently, but at the same time,
watching it,
a lot of the characters you're just like, why are you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
It utterly fails to have a message. At the end, it tries to shoehorn one in and goes, "Oh, they died for what was right." It's like,
Oh god, yeah, that was awful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess final thing to take away from this is if you want to watch Magnificent Seven, buy a copy of Seven Samurai. And watch that because I hadn't seen it until today, which is criminal, but it's a masterfully crafted film. Whereas this was a 2016 remake of a 1960s movie based on a masterfully crafted 1954 Japanese movie.
Is like problems passed down genetically.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
This is a
Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven were cousins, and they had a baby, which was Magnificent Seven 2016, and it's just a little bit squiffy.
third generation inbreeding.